Good morning or good evening, depending on where you are, maybe even good afternoon. So many time zones, hard to keep track sometimes. We are in Santa Monica though, and it is a bright and early 8 o'clock in the morning here. The ring stand. You're a fan of the rings? Have you done rings on the beach?
Yeah. You clearly have me look at my videos, have you?
I was needing more from you than just the one word yes. But anyway, we'll just leave that there. We've got Ron Rambo Kim.
Hello.
In the premises. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
We've had a brief chat. I was kind of like, I wasn't being antisocial, but like, there's so much that we can talk about. I think this is like definitely a meeting of the geeks today. So I think it's going to be a really interesting week of Counter-Strike. For those, I don't know, these guys can let me know how much time I've got. But for those of them, certainly, for the guys out there who don't know so much about you and your history, tell us about Ron Rambo Kim.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Ron Kim. I go by Rambo. I used to play Counter-Strike 1.6 professionally for teams 3D and Complexity. I did that about 7 years. So I've been in this game for a long time, and I'm happy to see it still be here. And yeah, I did that for about 7 years. I think we started in 2000. It was one of my first events at CPL.
Damn.
So almost 2 decades in this game. And after that, I coached. I moved to South Korea in 2017 to coach Team MVP. And after that, I coached Complexity in 2018. And then for the first few months of 2019, I coached Cloud9.
Cool.
Now I create content on YouTube. I try to teach gamers how to get better at the game, and try to pass along a thing or two.
What's the name of your YouTube channel?
If you search Ron Rambo Kim, it should pop up. Yeah.
I will say, I think his YouTube channel is one of the best ones in Counter-Strike to look at, especially for me. I used to play on a bureau. I don't know if Americans know what a bureau is, but it's like this big wooden thing. So I'm trying to improve my form. I've been ignoring Dan for 2 years.
Yeah, literally. I've been telling you this stuff for
Sometimes
so long.
I'm going to ignore Dan, but everything he's told me, I'm learning from Ron's videos, and I'm actually putting into my game now. So
yeah.
I watch his videos, but up to my sensitivity 50%. Just started well, but I need to continue adjusting. Anyway, time to get into the show. If you have any questions for Ron Rambo Kim, what is your Twitter account?
Ron Rambo Kim.
Okay, there you go. And you could also hashtag ECS8 for ECS Season 8, and maybe we'll bring them into the show as well. Now, we'll have a look at a quick look at the format, because it is different now for the remaining 3 weeks versus the first 2 weeks. Week 1 and 2 was about accruing money, and that can still be had in these remaining weeks. However, the main focus is on winning the weekly bracket. You win the bracket, you go to LAN. It's as simple as that. You can see the weekly prize breakdown there. 5 weeks total, 125 grand in for the online action. Do you say grand? Is that a thing you say in terms of like 1,000?
A grand, yeah.
Yeah,
a grand.
Marvelous stuff. I don't know how common that is in America, but we're definitely like grab a grand. Anyway, here is the bracket for Europe. Mouse Sports versus Mix at the top of the bracket. Then you've got Virtus.pro versus Tricked, FaZe and Big, Heretics and Ninjas in Pajamas. It's going to be an interesting bracket, an interesting week of Counter-Strike in Europe. And of course, we have North America to come later on. But for Europe, we're going to have Virtus.pro versus Tricked on the stream first. And then we've got FaZe versus Big as the second match. I do believe that Mouse Sports and Mix, I do believe that Scream is doing a stream on Caffeine for that. So I know he was doing some DreamHack stuff on the weekend on Caffeine. I didn't get to tune in, but I do wonder how he'll be doing with that. So feel free to tune into that if that's what you want to do. I remember some years ago we had Scream in our studio, like our first tiny studio in London, and he was sitting where like our PC was, because we would have a screen mounted onto the desk off camera.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember? But it was actually, I think in those days it was basically the Observer, and he was just like rapidly clicking through all the different players, and that's what people were seeing on the stream. It was really, really funny. Those were good times. But anyway, we'll see what his clicking's like. Well, you guys can see. We can't see. We're busy doing the show. The finals are going to be in Arlington. Once again, Arlington, Texas. I have a habit of saying Dallas. It is next to Dallas, though. It is Thanksgiving weekend once again. We were lucky enough to, or at least I got to see half of the... You came to the football as well, right?
No.
No? No. Oh, sorry. Well, I got to see the football. It was pretty awesome. Anyway, ECS.FACEIT.com. You can find all the information for the finals. Tickets are available now. We've got some teams who are confirmed already, and we'll, by the end of this week, have 2 more teams which are confirmed. So that's a lot of information we've just output. Don't forget though, you need to be playing on FACEIT as well. FACEIT.com. There was a little bug on the weekend because there were so many people playing on the platform that it kind of broke a few things, which is a good problem to have. Definitely, it was sorted out and it'll be fixed now going on. But I had a wild ride, man, with my elo. It's hard. It's hard, Rambo.
It's a grind,
it's
man.
Hard.
There's a lot of good players out there.
There's a lot of good players, and there's also a lot of not good players. I played a game of Overpass yesterday with the Bears, right? And everybody was level 10. I'm level 3.
Yeah.
Okay, but I shouldn't be level 3.
Yeah.
So basically, we played against a team. There was like some cute chick
who
was playing with a Nova, and I guess like her harem of players who were just like playing together. And it was weird for me and the Bears because it was a kind of no-brain players that we were playing with, where you couldn't really coordinate. It was Overpass, right, on a T side, and we'd have 4 people going B, which is a very common issue that I have with people in the office as well. Hello, guys. Hi. Because normally I go to A on my own.
Yeah.
And I can't really do anything.
Yeah.
Right? You just don't have the personnel. Like,
right.
I'm the only person who knows the grenades, like smoke of toilets, Molotov divider, and so on. But I can't check long. I can't go to party. I can't really do anything.
Yeah.
Right? But it was just a mess. It was like a W all the way game, and we lost. And it was just, I don't know, it was really frustrating.
Yeah, when you leave T spawn, it's just natural to kind of just go towards a safe kind of route. And people kind of avoid the areas where it's like wide and dangerous.
Yeah.
They got to explore out. And
it's really weird, isn't it? But like that's like on Inferno, in a pug, everybody goes banana because it's simple, right? It's like I don't need to think because it's just one channel.
They're just going to their comfort spots, but you got to expand your gameplay.
Yeah, it's crazy. But when you're, you would hope that people at the higher ranks would,
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
The thing I've noticed, I played 30 games in the last 3 days.
You played what?
I played 30 games in the last 3 days.
Holy crap, you're doing more than me.
Yeah.
And
girlfriend was away, so...
I did think, like, what's going on here? Anyway.
So what I've learned is, like, across the various levels, from 1 to 10, is that people just don't understand the impact of map control and have an awareness for map control. Because you have so many people that are just playing just by themselves, effectively. And once stuff that isn't working, doesn't click for them that map control might be part of the problems that they're experiencing. Because when everyone's playing by themselves, everyone's baiting everybody else, and no one's actually challenging for position.
No one's trying to achieve anything.
And no one's trying to flash for position for their teammates. No one has an objective with a teammate. It just seems so rare, unless you're actually playing, at the upper elos. It's really weird.
All right. Yeah. We have a map pool for Virtus.pro and Tricked. Overpass, Train, and Inferno are going to be our 3 maps. So we're going to go Overpass straight off the bat. So maybe this will be a learning experience. You know who you are out there. We'll see how the defaults start on the T side and what people are trying to achieve. Also, I don't know if you noticed, Rambo. We made a clock. This clock counts how many days it's been since we could draw on the map.
Yeah, I saw your Twitter post about that.
Yeah, I made a few.
Yeah.
It's I have to say, right, it's been over a year. There's no weakness. There's no weakness here. There's no sign of giving up. This will go on forever. I can withstand it. I'm like the Batman. I killed those people, I'm here all day. Anyway, I think it's time for our predictions. We haven't spoken about this match just yet. I mean, we've got so much information to release to the masses here, but we can dial down and focus on the match a little bit more.
I'm sad there's no Vertigo. I don't know if I'm a fan of the new Vertigo changes.
I mean, it's such a dramatic. Like, we'll have to get into it a little later on. We don't really have time just yet. Ooh, we've got the. Okay, explain yourself, Connor. Explain yourself.
I've got a lot of faith in Hunden.
Okay, what about the other 4 players?
Okay, and Bobski. Bobski's pretty incredible.
Okay,
He's
2
a
out
player
of 5.
to watch.
I'll take it. All right. Well, there's Connor. I'm gonna go with Virtus.pro. I'm a fan of Virtus.pro, man. I'm actually put a highlight not yesterday, but this week on. I got a 3K on Mirage Short, but basically everything I was doing was copied from Mihu. So I watch the VP demos. I got to go Virtus.pro.
Usually when Sliggy does this, I like to follow suit. But last time he said the same thing. It didn't work out. So I'm gonna go VP this time. I think they're the way more rounded team. They play more simplistic Counter-Strike than Attrict, but they play the fundamentals really well, and their players are pretty good mechanically. So should be an easy 2-0.
I'm also gonna have to go with VP. They had pretty good success at that event a couple weekends ago. I believe I forget
Yeah,
somewhere.
you mean the one in
somewhere in Europe.
oh god, what? In Budapest, wasn't it? V4, I think it was.
All right, well, here are the Pinnacle odds. They've got Tricked as a solid favorite. Sorry, we were rambling for too long. And the game has started, so Virtus.pro will be starting on the T side. The pop flash through to the monster position. Hunden, I think he just saw a smidgen of a second player. He's done great work with the CZ. 3 kills with 1 magazine. Really nice work from him, and that's put his team in a great position. 3K with 1 magazine of a CZ. That is not easy to do. Snacks now taking the short B position. Got 2 players moving through Monster. Around the pillar now. He's got Mihu to work with. I don't know if his position is known just yet. Creeping now. There's the bait with the bomb. No defuse happening just yet. And Snacks just can't quite hit the mark. And seems that Hunden did enough, gave his team the numbers advantage, and then Tricked were able to close it out and convert the round.
So you know, something worth mentioning as well is, you know, as Ron was saying, you know, it was actually the finals was VP Tricked, I believe, at V4, and Tricked won. But then recently, of course, Tricked and VP also played best of 3 in the second week, and VP actually won that 2-0 despite losing the V4 finals. So there you go.
I will say that I did pick Virtus.pro, but I think part of that is like we haven't seen too much of Tricked. Like I've seen their results of late, but I haven't seen them play so much. But they're definitely on the rise as well, which is great to see, especially for Hunden. It's good to see him have some success. Rojo with the off angle by the fountain. Are you happy with the one and done there?
I am. He's got info play, he's got a kill. So they know the T's have purchased now. So see if this Hunden, if he's gonna play patient here.
Ooh, that's rough, man. These second round Kriegs have proven to be a problem. I mean, this buy, if you look at the buy for Virtus.pro, it's ridiculous. I think Sponge tweeted yesterday that I forget what match it was, but there was a team that had, I think they had 3 Kriegs in the second round after losing the pistol, which is weird. I think that would suggest that, well, I mean, if you could buy 3 Kriegs, you could buy 3 AKs. So I was going to say that would suggest a problem with the price of the Krieg, but I think it suggests a problem with the increased loss bonus.
Yeah, heavily it's T-sided now. It's very tough for CTs, especially on long-range maps.
The Krieg is interesting too, because even with a Krieg and no armor, there are certain spots which you can have a lot of utility playing with. Ooh, almost getting too off the spray. I don't think there's too much for Shoes to do. I know exactly where he is now. But the thing is, the Krieg, you can hold certain pixel gaps and angles and so on, and the one-shot kill at any range. Like, it has a lot of utility that the AK simply doesn't have, and especially when you're playing as a CT side, you know, you don't want to give up the entire map so that you just let the pistols. Let's say they have a buy like that. You don't want to let them just have all of the map. You have to peek certain things. You have to challenge certain things. And I think the Kriegs are much better at punishing that, punishing information plays from the CTs than the AKs would be. So it's kind of scary.
I actually wouldn't mind going back to see if Virtus.pro left any money in the hole, because for me, I think it's better for a T side to win the second round than the first round, because it resets the loss bonus of the CT side. They're most of the time forced into a force buy where a very high percentage of the time they're going to lose. And I mean, look what they're fighting with in this situation. There was already 3 rifles at least for Virtus.pro in the previous round, so it's a great situation for them.
Yeah.
It's like life is just getting more and more difficult for CTs in CSGO, especially with the AUG being nerfed.
I do think there is a world. I don't think teams think about it quite as much, but I always like teams that do try to prioritize guaranteeing a bomb plant for that reason, because then you have all the options. Even if you lose the rounds, you're actually kind of in a good spot with all the extra money, the extra loss bonus from the economy update and everything.
Okay, not a bad start from Hunden, but Acor, I don't know how much he's going to be able to do beyond this point. That said, Veggie and Snatchy are pretty low, but PHR's between the two, so I would imagine there'll be a trade unless he can somehow get to Veggie's rifle. That's a good start. And that's how it finishes. So 3 people will be lost, but it is a disastrous start essentially for Tricked. All these rifles in the second round, and now look at their money. It's complete arse.
Yeah,
When they come in for their buy round, they might be lacking grenades and so on, and sacrifices might have to be made. If you're short of cash, like on the buy rounds, on a CT side, let's say in the next rounds, do you feel more inclined to take more risk and maybe like make an aggressive play, try and take some map control away or something like that?
I think that's one approach. What they did on second round is get aggressive and try to push a pace, get up close, and try to get a pick. Or you can play completely passive and try to use your nades for when they execute. So try to burn time, and when they try to execute, that's when you do a counter flash or use your smokes or mollies. But I definitely think you have to play either one of those extremes.
Well, this is going to work out nicely for VP. I feel like Overpass gives you a lot of good options on the T side for playing anti-eco or anti-force buy. I still think there is, like, I'm a believer that you can have good and bad maps in CS, if that makes sense. Because I know that I feel like there's been a lot of maps which have gone through the circulation that, in my opinion, aren't good maps. And like what I would qualify as a good map is a map like Overpass, defined by the characteristic that on both sides, T side or CT side, you have a lot of options, as well as on specifically on the CT side, you know, the side in which you don't take the initiative, you're more defensive. You actually don't get punished as hard for information plays as you do on certain other maps. Because there are some maps where, let's take an Inferno. This is actually quite a lot of damage. If you take an Inferno, then you get very punished on your rotations if you have no information. So you have to go for information at some point, or you're just gambling, and gamble Counter-Strike is not Counter-Strike you want to play.
Nice try.
What was really cool? Sorry, what was really cool in that round is when Snatchy and Co were in the toilets, Snatchy threw a smoke grenade behind him towards Connector to suggest that they are not as far up as they are already. But still, Trick still quietly rotated from B to A after hearing that smoke grenade anyway. And I don't know how they got that much out of that round. That's pretty crazy. But here we go. So indeed, we do see a limitation in utility. I mean, they've got a fair amount. They can work with this, but it's not perfect, is it? Sacrifices were made. We see the Famas and Under. That Molotov should be good, or normally would be good to slow T sides down, but Virtus.pro just don't seem to care.
A lot of early nades used by VP. Used a ton of flashes and smokes here, but got fast toilet control. It's good.
Yeah, they took so much damage in the previous round as well. So that's not a great situation for them. Really, they should be coming out of those rounds with a lot more people alive. But so that's alive. Ooh, jump up to get slam dunked by Acor straight in the dome. Overkill from him, and with that, Virtus.pro will go back towards B, where they don't currently have a lurker.
I do like, the point you're making, Ron, about just like the utility dump. It's actually kind of cool because if VP realized that they had more utility by, sort of reading the economy that they have, then you can afford to do that. That's like one of the options. Either you play it super slow to get rid of their utility, or you force them to respond by dumping some of yours. And then now you've got this situation where there's only 2 flashbangs available for Tricked. So VP should have an easier time to get into the site, although they are down a man.
Will the rotation come fast enough? We've got Roje by Divider, and Acor's been trying to find out what's going on towards long, but hasn't quite committed to anything. Bubsky with a little information jiggle. 25 seconds left. You can see a third man committing to the B bomb site now, and there's Roje. He's going to start flanking soon. So it's going to be really ropey for Virtus.pro. Surely the numbers are too great here for Tricked. There's another flank on the way. PHR is surrounded. Maybe a question of damage for him. 10 seconds. He's really going to try and push something. Otherwise, surely he's going to die after time. You can see Trick's just waiting for that flashbang as well. His hand is forced, and Tricked will survive the round with 4 players alive, picking up a lot of weapons. Double Kriegs now.
Kind of a confusing round from VP. I think they started the round really well. They got fast map control. Then you have Mihu going kind of for an unnecessary peek. They had the map so fast, they would have liked the double peek. That would have been safer. And then they just kind of fell back and walked into B. And they still had some smokes and mollies they could have used.
now because of all the players they lost. I forget how many they lost in the force buy round, but in that eco for sure they lost at least 3 players, and that's put them on eco. Despite their successes, despite those Kriegs in the second round, now they've got nothing to fight with, so the war of attrition has cost them a buy round, essentially. Now at this point they've got no grenades, 1 Deagle, 1 P250, so that's a really ropey situation. Should be in a much stronger position than this, but such is life.
And on these types of rounds where you don't have much on T side, I like to burn the time and use as much round time as possible because it usually forces more nades out from CTs. So you have this much time, you know, you can wait until like 20 seconds, and typically CTs get antsy and they start throwing unnecessary nades, and it's, you know, money that you're pulling from them.
Those 600 alone incendiaries, very, very costly. Good crossfire from Tricked on the A bomb site. Acor has been lost. If it's just one, then that's okay, I think. Veggie hiding, hoping somebody makes a mistake, gets greedy, hunts the frags. Bearing in mind what Virtus.pro have taken into this round, there isn't much need to hunt. Because then maybe a rifle can be collected, but there'll be a little hunting, it seems, from Tricked. Just want to give Veggie a free kill. He's gone back to hiding. I don't know if he had actually how many bullets he had at the beginning of that fight, but there we go, an extra kill from Virtus.pro. Patience pays off. The money though is still not spectacular, is it?
Yeah, I'm curious what the pacing is going to be like from VP. You know, we saw a really fast default from them where they were, again, as you highlighted, just dumping utility really early on, but they don't have a utility advantage here. It's kind of the opposite. So they might actually be forced into a faster play towards B or something like that. We'll see them get a spread as we would normally expect on their default, sending a couple towards the playgrounds, a couple towards Monster as well. So it's just the normal pressure that you could expect, or that they've been showing every round.
That spray was pretty solid. That CT Molotov or incendiary towards T-ramp towards Party is a real nuisance, really slows things down in most cases. It didn't last time we saw it, but generally someone will have to pop flash for the Party peak. But Virtus.pro, they've made inroads with good time, but look at this setup from Trick. They've got 3 players in the toilets, 1 by a divider, 1 I think with an off angle. They're playing the shadow advantages basically on both ends, but still Mihi's going to deliver massive kills. Acor turning around to take bullets as well. Now will they check for Hunden position? He's going to be forced into action. There's a trade from Snacks. Virtus.pro overwhelming the A bomb site. Those CT positions are really advantageous in theory, because when the T's go, their shadows come before them in both directions. Didn't quite work out though. VP not shy on aggression. 40 seconds remain and they're 4 versus 2.
It's a tough spot. But Bubsky has a Krieg, so perhaps he can do some damage here.
I go get the spam off. Ooh. Too smart.
I thought that might happen. There you go, the rest. So Virtus.pro turn it around. Back in the lead once again. 4-3 after 2 rounds from Tricked. You can see the direction of the shadows on the floor there. I don't know if maybe someone's looking at radar or something, but those are huge picks for Mihu. It's really made life hard. After that, the numbers game around toilets was just too much.
Yeah, and I was critical about Mihu's dry peeking there in first round, but this second round it paid off big time. So, you know, he's sticking with his gameplay, he's playing confident, he's looking for fights.
For me, Mihi's like one of those players where I see him do a lot of over aggressions as well. Like, I know that he loves to be aggressive, and sometimes it can look really bad. So I'm curious, you know, what we'll see out of him today.
Ooh, rare miss from Snatchy.
Yeah, that's a pretty big pick before the pushes actually come in as well. There's already 3 players on the site, already 2 players towards connector for the CT side as well. So VP, they could be playing into an anti-timing now. They had a potentially strong timing initially, but they're just waiting it out here, which is actually kind of smart because now Tricked is starting to guess.
Well, there's not much guessing to do, to be honest, because Roja's in connector. Acor's rotated back. They're not sure about the long position, but I think they're going to gamble that. It is the B bomb site, and the grenades will pretty much confirm that. You can see VP streaming in now. trying to figure out where the players are. PHR and Veggie took massive damage, and this one looks like it's going to collapse the Virtus.pro. That's a great flick from Roger with the Deagle, and they don't lose a single player despite having 2 pistols starting this round. Trick take everything away. This is really back and forth now.
Yeah, and you can't be you're holding a op angle there. Guess he just wasn't paying attention at that second, but that's a free kill for a sniper. You want someone to peek at that angle, and you just got outshot. So
He got everything he wanted, and wasn't able to convert. So the odds have got worse on this map for Virtus.pro. If you believe in them, then 3 is pretty solid. Right now, there aren't many 3s on their in their money column. Their money sucks. Tricked with the tactical timeout. Maybe trying to figure out what exactly the situation is, to get the Chinese abacus out, do the numbers. Finally, they've got a really nice buy. They've got maximum utility, they've got 2 AK-47s, 2 AWPs, can't complain.
now I'm VP. I'm looking to try to end A next gun round. They're having success more over there, and every time they've ended B, it just looks like they're just walking in. They don't really have any like set priority smokes or mollies or nades. They're just dry peeking, and it hasn't been working.
Here comes the eco towards B. There's not
HE behind the molly.
too much, it seems, for VP to do off the back of this. Although Bubs is going to whiff a shot, and that's going to be a trade coming out immediately. But Shoot will hold things down with the AK, and all is well. So 5-4, Trick take the lead. And these two teams are pretty evenly matched, all things considered.
Yeah, I would say that. I think Trick, their roster has been more together longer, so they have probably deeper playbook and strats, more chemistry. Whereas Virtus.pro, I think they picked up 2 of their members like roughly 2 months ago, so they're still trying to figure it out.
I gotta say, I do love that early Molotov. I think, you know, forcing a... Oh, it's actually missed. Forcing a smoke to have a fast timing is a pretty big win, I think.
Oh, I love these plays.
Ooh.
Again, Shush. Through smoke, he sprayed Snacks down to 50 HP in that same position when Snacks was carrying the bomb in a previous round. So that man's really learned his angles, because I don't know how you line that up. Just experience. Ooh, the angle you're just never expecting. Oh my god, they're just popping heads. Virtus.pro getting squeezed like grapes.
That's really rough. And just walking into the angle as well, making it really easy for him as opposed to like any swing onto that position. Because neither of them were really expecting it, or even able to call it perhaps after the first player died.
Yeah, on that boosted spot, it's a good off angle.
And Snatchy is the only man that remains. What's really interesting from the Trick's point of view is that we've seen quite a few different CT setups around A. We had the 3 toilets play, now we've got that play, and again, if you time these, like that one you might say is a more gimmicky play, but if you time it right, it can be so devastating and have implications for 3 or 4 rounds to come.
Yeah, I love it. I love this game plan. They're switching up their styles every round. You know, first round they went super aggressive, and then just keeping Virtus.pro on their toes. And it's really difficult to play against on T side, because you just have no idea what they're going to do.
Yeah, and their setups are so dramatically different that what are you even learning from one round to another? There's not too many habits you can capitalize on right now, because they're playing so different from round to round. It's just a complete guess. Multiple players. I don't even know if they identified how many players were in toilets, were in connector in that round.
Right.
They got killed by 1 guy, so they can't even, like, what can you really do with that? It's not a whole lot. The early toilet smoke out. We've got the strafe flashbang. Love to see that. Look what it's done. Could have been devastating. A-Core will escape through the smoke. Smart stuff. If you go for a fast plane connector, it can be pretty scary to try and fall back to toilets, but look how far they've gone back immediately. They've identified it's an eco from Virtus.pro. They're trying to overwhelm like they did with the AWP on short B, this time towards A. So they'll go back and they'll play the range.
And it's always, you know, interesting to see how teams react to the info they get on pistol rounds, because you know, you would react to it differently than in other rounds. Okay, that's a nice hold on long. But often, you know, the pistols, the strength is with the numbers. So if you see one, it's probably more nearby. And you see sometimes teams make a mistake on Overpass. It used to happen, but teams are generally much better on Overpass, so you don't see it as often at this level. But in a round in which you're the CTs and you know that the opponent's ecoing and they're just going to have pistols, you'll see like extremely passive play where the people are just sitting on the bomb sites. And that creates a lot of issues because the pistols can get on top of you really quickly in numbers and on top of the bomb site.
Yeah, and they had one smoke there, so I would have liked to see that long A lurk smoke. And then all 5 could have just walked in there and just, you know, popped out, maybe, you know, caught them off guard.
Back into the buy and having to force that smoke into the molly again. And I'm actually really liking this from VP because, again, you know, Tricked are doing it to slow down their default timings. And,
oh my god.
Oh, that's not a good look. There's been a lot of exchanges through the wooden panel through to the door, and it's finally gone the way of Tricked. VP are losing so much early in some of these rounds.
Ouch.
This round barely started. I mean,
Yeah.
it hasn't started as far as Virtus.pro are concerned. I don't know if they've even fired any bullets.
Oh wow, they've been denied their default massively here.
These are frustrating ways to die. Like, you don't even get to play the round. You don't even get a chance.
I don't think they've seen a single CT. I don't think anybody's seen anyone. Snatchy sees a leg and then gets flashed immediately. It's pretty awesome to watch from Trick's point of view. Like, it's devastating for Virtus.pro, but for Trix it's really enjoyable. But you have to be careful about Snatchy. He's got no Kevlar, but he has an AWP, and that's a problem. But again, Tricked, they haven't been too shy to hunt these remaining players, so he will be surrounded. Some damage done. But with 3 rounds to go, I don't know if it will have any impact at this point. Have a look at that. All over the place. Unreal. Honestly, though, the monster sprays through the smoke up the stairs have been so fun to watch. This is a rough one for Virtus.pro. Again, bearing in mind they started, like, if you ignore the second round and the 3 rifles and so on, turning things around when Trick basically had a worse buy, it's basically 8-1 as far as I'm concerned, from when the game's really started.
Yeah, and they've really picked up the pace, and they're playing confident. They've got the tempo of the match for sure under control.
So here's the execute, but it's an eco round with 3 grenades. And they've made their way, and there's a big investment, as you can see, from Tricked towards the bomb site. They've got players in playground. There's a ding-dong from Snatchy and Veggie. And this might be a problem. There's no utility left for Virtus.pro. Tricked have short B, which is really going to help.
Yeah, I think if they should play the clock here. Got to play the clock. Try to stay alive as long as possible. Trick was stacked over at A, really aggressive. So they've got to move quick here.
He runs to his doom. There's a boost on the balcony, but the flicks are here. 3 versus 2 now. They've got kits on everybody. Veggie's got a great angle. Overseater can do a lot of damage. Now it's a 2 versus 1, and there goes Veggie. And again, the damage is not enough, really. They only need rounds now, Virtus.pro. Another W for Tricked, 9-4. 2 players survive. It's an ace for Acor. Running at him in the lower area. That's a difficult shot there, the one above. That's a nice flick from him as well. Covering his teammate, really just delivering literally every single kill. Pretty solid stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty scary. You know, if you're talking like just super strict fundamentals of CT side, maybe you don't want a super aggressive stack on A, but I respect the fact that you want to mix things up. And even though you know that a half buy is coming, VP have been favoring going towards A as well. And they managed to recover it, so no harm, no foul there, and the money's not too much of an issue. Acor's looking for everything. That's a pretty common boost up on the slide. I think it's Astralis that used that one quite a lot.
Liquid as well.
Liquids. Probably who I was thinking of.
Elysian Twist. Like to do that.
Yeah. It's a really solid boost, I've got to say.
I don't think that Virtus.pro are necessarily offering the strongest challenge right now on the T side of Overpass, but I am enjoying Tricked. And the different setups they've been doing. They're making a fan of me. The bomb has been spotted, and how do you even chat? Okay, that's how you do it with a Krieg, of course. 2 versus 4 now for Virtus.pro. Once again, they're in a really bad spot. Second last round of the first half. And round number 5 is not looking so likely right now. Snacks has the AWP. He's a dab hand. Not quite snatchy, but he is fairly strong with it as well. And again, Tricked, they're not just sitting on this advantage. You can see Hunden's gone deep on long, which will make it hard to do anything on the A-bomb site. Roger hasn't seen anybody just yet, but there's the information needed. Shush holding things down, and now Snacks is waiting to die, essentially. Also a song by 07, really good.
One thing I think is amazing about Overpass as well is that one of these core dynamics about how you play CT on in Counter-Strike is a little bit different in Overpass, because you can take these really early battles, which might be a 1-for-1. In most maps, going 1-for-1 early is kind of terrible if you're on the CT side, but on Overpass, there's so much space for the Ts to have to clear. If you're able to actually take down one player early and then fall back, they just don't quite have enough players to do everything. So you're actually creating better options, because your rotations aren't as punishing on the CT side as well in this map.
Yeah, just having that early presence keeps them on their toes for working at each part of the map up to the site,
It's a really late Molotov into the short B position. You used to see a lot more HEs going after the Molotov, but of course things go in and out of the meta as they become expected. But on the eco round, there were like 3 people behind the molly, so... Ooh, that's a deep one. Now that's some demo watching right there. Although it hasn't really led to too much for them. Oh my god! Snacks is going to be denied. Acor he's ready for all the angles. He's that free-for-all deathmatch battle sniper. Really nice to have. There's a shadow advantage for him now as well. He spots one towards the truck and he's going to fall as well. Is he going to throw another race? Maybe he is! Ooh. Absolutely! 2 aces in 1 half from Acor. What a way to take us to a break. Jesus H. Christ.
That was sick. Man, what a half. Super impressed. This is not looking good for VP. This is not how you want to start your first match of the day.
Let's see what happens after the break.
Up your game. 128-tick servers for the smoothest, most responsive gaming experience ever. Ensure you game seamlessly with our state-of-the-art FACEIT anti-cheat. Track your progress with advanced stats within your community, country, or region. This is the true ranked experience. Sign up now at FACEIT.com.
Cool, right? Want to know where I got it? Well, look, go to CS.money. It's a trade platform and a marketplace at the same time. Just choose, click, and get. Good luck, bro.
I'm changing my prediction. You know I literally never do this, but this time I am, because I didn't inform myself well enough. This veto is very, very strange. Virtus.pro vetoed Dust2 when they could have vetoed Overpass. They basically don't play Overpass, and yet they vetoed Dust2. Tricked are about 77% on Overpass, they're about 45% on Dust2. In the last 3 months, Virtus.pro have 4 games on Dust2. They haven't won any of them, but they have 0 games on Overpass. I mean, it might be that they've allowed Overpass in because they're trying to make it part of their map pool. Doesn't necessarily look that way, I'd say, right now, based on what we saw in the first half. And now they are on the CT side. Let's see what happens. Looking to retake on the B bomb site. Minu charging through as he does. This time he takes one in the face. Bomb's been dropped for the time being. But there are so many players on the B bomb site. But there are so many angles for the CTs as well. 50-50, and it becomes 1-3 now for Snatchy. Don't put it past him. He hears the footsteps. Surely we're not going to try and rotate. He knows they're both there. Goes for the 1 versus 1. Smart stuff, but it's not going to work out. Trick take the pistol, and now VP are in trouble. Trick have taken both pistol rounds. And again, just to add to what I was saying earlier, like, this veto is really strange. The only reason I see that they vetoed Dust 2 over Overpass is because they want to play Overpass.
Yeah,
So
maybe there's some things like behind the scenes. Maybe they scrimmed each other before on Dust 2, and or yeah, what you referred to. Maybe they did prepare for Overpass, because that first gun round they had that fast default. It looked really solid. Then after that, there wasn't much.
Yeah, it's interesting for me when you look at statistics for a team, and like you look at how things have gone historically, and you know, surely it makes sense to veto this map, but then if you always take that approach, you're never going to be able to play that map. So you're going to have to force things into your map pool if you want to have a bigger map pool. It's one thing to play them in practice, but you have to play them in the live matches as well.
Or maybe VP thought that they weren't gonna let Overpass through, so Tricked wasn't prepared. So like Virtus.pro, like, you know, they
took a gamble.
The sneaky.
Gamble flow, yeah. Oh yeah, like a. Why have they left this open?
And then they watched her demos and prepared a game plan.
At least from that HE on Hunden earlier on, that would suggest that. But hasn't worked out so far.
Yes, it's just, I think VP just don't have a great map pool. They're always going to be in this position. So hopefully they can strengthen that map pool. Although Tricked, I think they're 77% on this in the last 13 maps. Have been playing some good opposition. Nice double from Veggie though with the CZ, and maybe there's more work to be done. There's a couple of scouts lurking around, and there you go. So VP will win around with the force fire, the scouts and CZs and so on, but we'll have to see how replicable that is going to be in the buy rounds, because I would expect Tricked to have, you know, you mentioned before Ron is having a better playbook. I think we can absolutely expect to see that.
They're a strong favourite, Tricked, on both maps.
Yeah.
So this is really dangerous territory for Virtus.pro.
The problem is when you take Mirage out of the map pool for VP, it feels like you remove a lot of their bites. It feels like.
Yeah, I guess that they're really taking the building block step by step, with Mirage being the first one. And that's been a very long process for them, as we have seen, because it's almost always Mirage when we see them at ECS.
Oh, but they also have to be anticipating the fact that Mirage is going out of the map pool, presumably. So that's also another thing, I guess.
Yeah, can't hold on to it forever. It is the old lady of the group. Okay, down to a 2 versus 2 on the A bomb site. Mii will take one in the dome. This is not a good situation, but Acor has no Kevlar. He's been strong though, but you will ring the bell.
Dink.
Really nice effort from Tricked. And again, just like we had issues with Virtus.pro when they lost too many players at advantages on their T side, the same will happen on the CT side. But what can you do when you get domed like this? There's nothing you can really do about this. It just is. God damn, they're on fire today with the Deagles. 12-6. Virtus.pro have made it to half the score of their opponent. But Tricked are now on a really poor buy.
Is it Roje or Roge? Or Rogue, yeah. Presumably.
It's a good question. I'm not sure what majority of their nationality is.
Can we go to Roje's POV? I know we're really observing. But
So he's denying me.
denied. Okay, there we go.
Danish.
Frederick. Okay, so it's his first. Jay is just his last name, so
Okay.
it's probably Jorgensen. So probably, but I can't imagine it being Roya. I mean, it might be, to be honest. I'm not Danish.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to go. I mean, Chris J is Chris J.
If you're Danish,
Is he Chris de Jong? Is he Young or Jong? He must be young.
I
feel like most of the time a starting J, when it's not an English like speaking country, primarily is a year.
Yeah.
So he must be Chris de Jong, but we call him Chris J. So I'm going with Ro J.
I found out recently that, you know, do you remember Ange? They used to play a Cirque on NRG. He's A and J.
Yeah.
I found that out recently. I thought
A and J.
We always said
initials
Ange.
or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Fire. It's like impossible in game.
Yeah.
Right, Snatchy's gone super deep. He's in those deep waters. The only color is blue. See how long he can hold here for. Maybe some rifle support in PHR. Makes his way towards the toilets. I like working in the toilets on Overpass. Two-man setup's really important around the A bomb site. Well, around just the upper area of Overpass in general. And the rotation is in. Oh, he's just holding down two jobs, outside and inside. Not going to work out for him. That's a huge pick for Tricked.
Yeah, and Ace to slow things down though. There's a few more from Snacks as he makes his way across. Flash as well. However, Tricked have made pretty decent time, and they're going to be able to occupy a lot of attention here. That's a great pick from Roj or Roj. Will get traded out though, but the rotation's in from Tricked. And VP don't have positioning on this bomb site. However, Veggie's here to cause some problems from water. We'll have to see what he can do. Now the backup has arrived as well. Anything to cover the cross, perhaps? Nothing in the tank here for Tricked as far as utility is concerned. It is the double peaks that will have to do the job, and it will. And that's beautiful. Great execution from Tricked. They really convinced VP to dump everything towards A, and then they just win the peak battle on B. Beautiful. 13-7. VP back to a save.
And I liked Slatchy's aggressive play there at long. He went for a pick, and then the rotation almost paid off. But again, like James just said, you're trying to watch two spots. So I would have liked a support smoke in front of connector, and that way we can focus on toilets.
Yeah, definitely looking unpolished here for Virtus.pro on Overpass. Very likely to lose this, but they know where they're at now with this map. Plenty to work on. I think it's what we've seen so far, two very contrasting teams in terms of organization. The strat book for Tricked has a lot more pages on it, so there's a great comparison for VP to look at post-match. Assuming they lose this, they are Penguins in connector at the moment, showing that body heat.
We see a lot more solo play from Virtus.pro, and we see Tricked. They're more compact, and they're taking things together. They're always doing some kind of setup, pairing up, complementing each other.
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. It's like when all the Power Rangers come together, make the massive robot with the sword. And the A-bomb site has been taken. All is well. We don't see enough people shooting the glass on the office building. Veggie, he may as well stay here. You know, I'm really trying to consistently jump onto the pipe in connector, but I haven't quite found the method to do it consistently because it's so cool if you can get on the pipe. But most of the time, I'd say like 90% of the time, I miss the jump and just make that massive gong sound and people realize what's going on. But I try every now and then. Well, Virtus.pro, they've got two more chances. Snatchy's AWP and no Kevlar. Presume he's dropped a rifle for a teammate who's dropped him the AWP. Probably Veggie who did that. And here we go. Pretty much last chance saloon for Virtus.pro. He'll make his way into that short B position. Is there a flash from a teammate or something? He's taking big grenades. Those are the HEs I was talking about. That's interesting that you don't see most teams do that anymore, but you're seeing Virtus.pro do it now, so it might be an indicator as to the general situation for them on Overpass. I like those HEs for a monster player, but nothing doing this time.
And I like this, trying to draw out those nades early from B. Now they've got a ton of utility left to finish however they want. Good
Actually
jump there.
credit.
Nice awareness from Triggs. Pop flash as well. It's cool to look at Liquid demos in that area and how they isolate the rifle support should one be further back or in the middle facing divider. Some of the sniper setups you see. I don't think we're going to see them in this half though. Again, Snatchy just going to have to take the risk. And it's not going to work out. This is going to be a frustrating start to this best of 3 series for Virtus.pro.
Yeah,
Just getting blasted on dry peaks.
so this is a great peek from Roger, the way that he was shouldering that angle. I really enjoyed that. Snatchy feeling like he has to get something out of that. Quick team kill game from Roger. He really just kills everything, doesn't he? To left here for VP. And Tricks are looking very comfortable. The level of coordination from them and just the purpose in every round between the individuals and the team as a whole is looking so good. In comes Mihu, able to deal with one. Doesn't look like they're so ready for Mihu at times, the best of times. But the trade is there. Now Veggie in the 1 versus 1. It's so impossibly hard to win this fight against the players in bathrooms. He's got an AWP, it's A-core he's been owning in this game so far.
He's got no kit, so he can't win anyway.
I don't know when we last saw 2 AWP aces in one half from one player.
Or just 2 aces in general. But yeah, all paces even, that's got to be like such a tiny percentage. Here we go. Plenty of game points for Tricks that came into this as a strong favourite.
Nice. Oh, that's beautiful. That is so...
It really is.
How do you deal with that as an AWPer? You're just never hitting that.
I would hit that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing for people out there watching. Once you get map control, especially if the other teams are down a member, if you expect them to play aggressive, still play cautious by jiggle peeking it, and watch for the re-aggression. Because there, if he would have just been holding and not jiggle peeking, it would have been an easy kill with the further off. The jiggle peek really kept him safe and got him that kill, yeah.
Yeah, that's something to... I think people don't jiggle. That's another thing I noticed. People don't jiggle enough. They just hold static positions. Jiggling lets you take the initiative as well if you want to. You get the information, you get a decision if you react in time to commit or not to commit. And if a player's going to swing on you, he's going to stop as soon as he sees you, so you can keep yourself safe from his advantage from peeking as well. So there's lots of elements to how the jiggle can be important. Nice flash.
An easy flashbang. Veggie is super dead. Mika's got a lot to do, but again, a numbers game. The organisation from Tricks. Overwhelming, and that's a free bomb site. Go for a normal plant, nothing too crazy. Just turning around at the right time. Just about got the spray there, and this is the end of the line here on Overpass for Virtus.pro. No train tickets for them. Well, it's a ticket to train, really, so maybe there is a train ticket after all. There's Snatchy, down to 20 HP, pre-fire, MP9, he's still in it. 1 versus 2, and it's pretty much all but guaranteed for Tricks, and now it is all over. It was a very one-sided affair, very lopsided, both pistols and everything else for Tricks. Just a better team on Overpass, to be honest.
They looked great. They're hitting their shots. Their playbook looks super strong, CT side and T side. Last round, just a very simple B exec, but you know, they had those priority flashes there, which allowed them to get that first kill. And Molly barrels with the follow-up, and yeah, it's looking super solid. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it didn't really seem like this was anything but an open and shut case for Tricks, just easily dealing with VP at every turn. Like, just the comfort of just never ever being put off of their game plan, whereas conversely, when VP tried to run their defaults, they couldn't run their defaults. They got shut down by Tricks' aggression, and the variety that Trick had kept throwing them off. So completely agree. Trick's looking fantastic here. And just the map pull, just in this best of 3, really seems to favor them.
Yeah, and I'm a little worried if I'm hitting at the train when Acorn's just, you know, acing us with an op, right?
Yeah.
So those long distance maps.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. These are the scores on the doors. We also have the damage column, which is pretty cool. When someone goes over like 3,000 damage, you know, they've had an exceptional performance because it doesn't happen too often. We did see 3,400 in a recent game in normal time, which is pretty crazy. But here we are. I think, yeah, Overpass is one of Trick's main maps. We know that much. For Virtus.pro, again, looking at the demo, I think there's a lot they can look at from their opponent and see just how easy things were. There's a lot there's like, I feel like they're very early in their Overpass career. That much is true just by seeing it's the first time they've played it in at least the last 3 months. So they're trying to build their map pool. Maybe they can have a better chance on train. That is coming up after the break. We'll see you back here in a few minutes.